Overall, how was your weekend?
Relaxing. I was tired. Homecoming week had a lot of things going on. Night rally kept me up the night before. And we had a cross-country meet the very next day and then the game. So, yeah, I was tired come Saturday.
Absolutely. Well, this week we're going to talk homecoming. We're going to talk homecoming and the big win Friday night against Austin High. We're going to look ahead and see how volleyball and cross-country was doing. And as the district play wraps up here soon for volleyball, we're going to look ahead to this week's Thursday night game against Del Valle. And live in studio, we'll have the San Marcos High School head volleyball coach, Jared Teo, joining us. And, Coach, we talked a little bit about homecoming last week, but now that it's come and gone, now it's not your first homecoming technically, but sort of your first one. We know that COVID was interrupting. How was San Marcos homecoming? What were your thoughts? We'll talk football here in a minute, but just the homecoming festivities this past Friday night.
Yeah, it's kind of what I thought it would be. I don't think I still seen the full picture, but I think we got closer to it, and it's just real traditional. That's what you can. People who've been here a long time, they got it down. We're going to do this on Thursday. We're going to do this on Friday, and so they got it down. But it was the old, we keep talking about the One Horse Town stuff when we get on this thing, but it was a traditional pep rally, a homecoming, and you could feel the tradition here.
Absolutely, and a packed crowd. Love seeing all the people out Friday night at San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium. Certainly must have been able to feel that down on the field level, I'm sure.
There was definitely a homecoming crowd.
It was a homecoming crowd, and we want to do more of that, and we're going to have opportunities as the year progresses. Also, of course, Coach, big Oklahoma State victory against Texas, so congratulations to your son and his colleagues. How was the feeling on Saturday there?
It was a feel-good. It was a feel-good. I actually left work early. I had a buddy in town. And we watched it from start to finish, so it was good stuff. Now,
do you do a trash talk thing with your quarterback's dad, Isaiah De Leon's father, of course, UT fan? Is there text back and forth Saturday afternoon, or do you just leave well enough alone? Or
I've been in Oklahoma State since 2010, and there's only been one time that Ugly Orange has won, so I kind of feel sorry for him, so we leave him alone.
So you're happy that the right Orange won on Saturday? All right. Well, we're going to get to the good stuff now. We're going to take a look back at this past Friday night as the Rattlers took on Austin High in San Marcos Toyota Rattler Stadium. It was homecoming night at the stadium as the Rattlers take on the Maroons. San Marcos got on the board early with an opening drive that ended with a 1-yard touchdown run from junior Jake Rodriguez-Schultz for the early 7-0 lead. The defense stepped up huge as well, pitching a first-half shutout as the Rattlers took a 24-0 lead into the locker room. In the second half, it was much of the same, with the offense running the ball at will and the defense making the necessary stops. And in the end, the Rattlers posted a decisive 38-10 victory for the second victory in a row to move to 2-3 on district play. And more importantly, Coach, 2 games in and 2 victories in the Big Five, as we've established. So for those that may be joining us for the first time or haven't remembered what we talk about, remind folks about the Big Five.
Yeah, so we started out, we're 2-2. You don't give me the loss I don't need. But we started out with Lake Travis and Westlake, and they're obviously top 10 football teams. So we knew before the season started that the last 5 games were going to be our season. And we got everybody healthy at the right time. Got Vega back the week before. We actually played the entire game this week. Guidry looks to get released Wednesday.
Good.
So, yeah, we're 2-0 in that 5-game stretch, and come Thursday, we're looking for that 3rd one.
All right, well, let's talk this game here. What were your overall takeaways from the win on Friday night?
Yeah, I was pleased. Guys, I told them, that Hayes win was a good win for us and Hayes County and all that. But that Hayes win doesn't mean near as much if you don't back it up and start stacking wins on top of wins. And they took it to heart. The 38-10 score, I don't even recognize myself. I usually don't back off in the 3rd quarter, but when we got to 38 in the 3rd quarter, the homecoming crowd, we haven't been able to play our whole roster. And Coach Brinkley just walked in. He actually he asked me, can I get so and so in? Can I get so and so in? So it really prompted me to get everybody in. So it was good to get on them. The starters did their job, and then we were able to play the roster, which was good.
Well, and that becomes a big piece of it. For one example, quarterback Cutter Gage Webb got some playing time in. How important is it for players like that to get that live field time against other opponents? I mean, there's nothing you can't modify that or make that feel that way in practice.
No, and it's real important for Cutter because just going back to the Holmes game when we were over precautious with Isaiah's hand. You got to get those reps because you never know when you're going to get thrown in. It could be 3 plays. It could be Isaiah's cramping, and he's got to come out, and those are 3 big plays you got to be ready for. So, just getting. He's a coach's kid, so he's kind of got that moxie about him, anyways. But you can't replace those live reps.
And so talking back to Isaiah, quarterback Isaiah De Leon, we've talked a number of times, dual threat. He can throw, he can run. He needed to run this time again, 11 carries, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the rushing, again, seemed to be the statement here. You talked last week about you do script plays. Obviously,
right.
you're playing to your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. And was rushing the key again, or is that something that just developed as the game went on?
Well, we're always going to rush. I mean, even if Isaiah, I think in the New Braunfels game, he threw for 250 or something, we still ran the ball for 3 something. So we're always going to run the ball. We think that's the key to winning big football games. So, but no, we stayed on script pretty well the other night. The completions, the wind was a factor. I mean, the wind was blowing pretty good. But no, we stayed on script pretty well.
And so we want to talk about the defense too. 10 points allowed, a huge step up for the defense.
Right.
They made the plays when they were necessary, and it kind of allowed, you've got to believe, not obviously the offense doing their job, but defense allows for some of those late substitutions to happen, as we just knew we were stopping them and throttling them. 3 and outs. So talk about the defense stepping up in a huge way here in this game.
I mentioned in the interview after, when we were playing Lake Travis and Westlake, overmatched. The odds were in our favor, but they run the same offenses that Austin High runs, that Austin Bowie runs, that Del Valley runs. It's a spread offense. So Coach Kleiber and his staff put together the plan for this 5-game run in those games. And what better way to do it against the best of the state? You're not getting a better scout team. So I think what showed was, we put that spread plan in. And then the 10 points is impressive, but I think we held them to under, am I right, Nash? I think we held them to under 100 yards or right at 100 yards the entire game, which that's unheard of in Texas high school football.
That's incredible. Defense did a great job, and actually that's a great segue into our plays of the week this week. Again, we never can pick one, and both times these are defensive plays, Coach. There was no way we couldn't include both of these, so we're going to let those hit the screen and let you walk us through what we're seeing. So
I think it's just the Hayes game. This is the Hayes game. And Hayes came out and played us a few times, Josh, but Hayes, they're a slot T. Well, they came out in a different offense philosophy just because I think they watched film and knew they couldn't handle our guys up front. So they were airing it out, throwing screens. And then Michael Garza plays linebacker. We threw him at safety. He's a ball hawk. He's just a good football player. And he ends up getting a pick to seal and close the game. So the next week.
We set the Hayes clip up to show what he's capable of, and here we are Friday night.
Yeah, so we're in Hayes, and we're just trying to seal the deal again. And, in my experience and teams that I've had that have made long playoff runs, you always had someone like that closing out games. I can remember when Coach Thompson's team was playing, we had a linebacker that 3 games in a row had a game-ending pick, and Michael's kind of got that thing going for him right now. So I think that these are 2 fitting plays.
And I think those are both, like you said, those are those times where the fans in the stands, the coach staff, you never let up. But those were moments in games where you said, we've got this.
Right.
We were able to put it away, right?
He was the closer.
All right, so those plays of the week mean then pretty clearly then our Rattler of the week this week is going to be junior linebacker Michael Garza, well-deserving. So Hayes County Barbecue here live in studio is give it up for our Rattler of the week, Michael Garza. Now, Coach, in a situation like this, we like to try to have the Rattler of the Week on. I think that it's a really great reason why we won't get to talk to Michael today. We're going to talk to Michael. We're going to have him on the show for sure.
Right.
But explain why we're not going to talk to him live tonight on Rattler Up.
Yeah, so tonight's a big choir concert. I think your daughter's in it, correct?
Yes, she is.
So, we changed our entire day for the choir concert. The first thing I heard the first slogan or motto or whatever, or theology that I heard when I got to San Marcos was a strike is one. So I believe in it, whether we're talking athletics or not. But tonight I think we have Xavier, Garza. There's about 5 of them, wasn't there, Isaiah, that we sent? There's about 5 that we sent. So we made our whole practice in the a.m. We got there about 6:30 this morning, got our entire practice in so everybody could get to the concert. And that's why Michael's not here. He claims he can sing.
And we're going to find out tonight.
Right.
And so if there is time, if you're watching live on the VYPE live stream, tonight, 7 o'clock, San Marcos High School Theater. Check out the San Marcos High School Choir. They're doing some amazing things. And I just want to drive this home, Coach, and I know that this is just how you operate, but I think there's a lot of people out there that would find that to be pretty strange, right? And it's unfortunate that they would. I just want people to really settle in on what we're hearing. The football team adjusted their practice so that their players could make the choir concert. That's what we're doing in San Marcos. That's the strike is one motto.
Absolutely.
And why is that important? Why do you feel like it's important to have that ability for kids to connect to multiple programs and multiple pathways in the school?
Well, one, it's all I've known. I've only been in 3 places, and in the last one, Horsetown, where I started in Brownwood, that was there. I mean, everybody did everything, and there just wasn't cliques of any kind of clubs or sports or anything. And then when we started Garza, we built Garza, so we built it that way. So it's really all I know. So when I got here, it's what our leadership wants, and it fit right into what I'm used to. So we just keep, and I mean, the volleyball girls are here, and when they're student athletes or they're just students, period, they need to be happy. And then the worst thing you can do is pull them different directions and put pressure on them for, football's more important than this, or volleyball is more important than choir. You just can't do it. Can't do it. Well,
it's been fun to watch, and we're excited for Michael Garza. We're going to get him on for sure in another show. We're going to honor him. He was our Rattler of the Week, and it's an exciting week to be a Rattler as we beat Austin High and get the homecoming victory. And so we definitely want to go ahead and continue to talk some more football with you while we got you here this week on Rattler Up. But we're going to take a moment and get that weekly Rattler Nation update, as we got lots to talk about from a couple of different spots, some big district tournament events, some continuing with volleyball. So let's check in on the cross country team. They were in action this past weekend at their district tournament. The big news coming out is freshman Alexandria Juarez took 5th place overall and is qualified for the regional tournament in Corpus Christi on October 25th. So congratulations to Allie. How big is that for a freshman to already have that regional qualification?
Yeah, absolutely, because our districts, I mean, there's some freaks out there in the cross country. I went to it, so I can jog. I don't run, but I can jog. But they run for 3 miles. I mean, they run. So it's impressive to watch them compete.
And so varsity girls, varsity boys, JV girls, they had some team victories as well. And then the following night at the junior high district meet went just as well. 7th grade boys and girls were district runner-ups, and the 8th grade girls were district champions. So we have a lot coming up. We've talked so much about the middle school on Rattler Up, but we're not just talking middle school football. We have some athletes coming up, Coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to kind of give a little credit to Coach Jones and Coach Morris and Coach Mendoza, because we hosted the middle school, and it was completely flooded from that rain, and they had to find a new course like within 24 hours, and it went off with no hitches. So it was good. And
another story you were sharing with me before the year, I'd love to have you share with everybody else. Yeah. You were there live, and we had a runner, and you could tell the story better than I can. I mean, in 2nd place till the bitter end. Tell what you saw with one of our cross country girls.
It's Karina Rodriguez, right? Am I saying the first name right? Yeah. So Karina, she was. She's on varsity, and where I was posted, I was there with the 1.5 mile mark, that I could kind of go through a little through the woods and see him finish. And she came to the 1.5 mile mark, and she was at the front with the leader, and like I said, they were moving, and she was just getting. I didn't know. I hadn't been to a meet yet, so I didn't know if that's normal or if she was going to fade, or they come around with about 600 meters left. She's still there. There's 1 and there's 2, and she's hooking it. But her body was done. She fell out. I mean, completely fell out, and she's good now. I can talk about it because she's healthy. There's nothing wrong.
But there was a scare.
But it was not good, and the reason I don't mind talking about it is because we tell our kids to go all out. We tell our athletes to give it all. And Karina, 100% from start to finish, went until she couldn't go no more. So I don't know. I'm sure Ms. Press is going to ask me to give some awards out for athletes, and there's no way she's not getting one from us. I mean, she literally went all.
Absolutely left it all on the field.
And it was terrible because she was right there. I mean, it was just 600 meters. She's done. But she'll be back. But she's a competitor. And I was just proud to have purple on that day when she was running.
All right, so cross country representing well, doing some great things. We're really proud. We had Coach Morris on the show a few weeks ago. Like you mentioned, those junior high coaches just really building a program up. So some really great things there in Rattler Nation. And then, of course, we've got our varsity volleyball team. We've been following them all season. And so we look over to them to see where they are after a 5-game road trip. That was huge that they were away from the snake pit for that long. And so on Tuesday, they hosted Aikens. They took care of business in straight sets to get their 30th victory on the season and their 6th in district play. And then on Friday, they had an early 5 o'clock start due to homecoming, and they were in the Snake Pit taking on Austin High. The girls were right there the whole way, but they did lose it in 3. This puts them at 30-10 overall, 6-5 in district with 3 to play. They remain locked in a tie with Hayes for the 4th playoff spot, just 1 game back of 3rd behind 3rd place Westlake. So this is some real nerve-wracking times for an athletic director and a parent, huh?
Well, I just think just as a coach, and Coach Taylor will be on, he may just tell me I'm wrong, but I think there's, in my experience on the football side, you can be better than everybody else and just kind of roll through, and then you get to the playoffs and you weren't challenged and you didn't go through adversity and you're not really prepared for the tournament. And you may get beat early because you didn't have that. Well, these girls in this district there's plenty of adversity, there's plenty of talent. I love where we're at. We got Lake Travis that we can beat. We win in 5. We got Westlake we can beat. And I think the stretch they had to get to the playoffs, there's nothing they haven't seen. So I don't care who it is they see in the playoffs. They've seen it, and they're prepared to make a run.
Well, and I can tell you, it's exciting to watch it at the Snake Pit for sure. Volleyball girls are here live with us at Hayes County Barbecue, so they're nodding their heads in approval. They know they've got this. I can even tell you my little girl that goes with me to the games often, usually her attention span drifts as little kids do. She's all in on these games. She's into it. She loves watching, and it's because they're there. They're fighting every point, every time, every place. And so we're going to talk a lot more about that because we're about to go to commercial break. But when we return, we will be joined by San Marcos High School head volleyball coach Jared Teo. We'll have him and more when Rattler Up returns right after this. All right, welcome back to Rattler Up. We are joined live with San Marcos High School head volleyball coach Jared Teo. Coach, thanks for joining us here on Rattler Up.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, and to be fair, I've been asking for a while, but we just keep getting our calendars mixed up. We're so glad to finally have you. And I'm actually kind of glad it became here now because as we were talking before the break, an exciting time in the volleyball season with 3 games left to go in the district calendar. But we'll get to that in just a minute. We want to talk to you a little bit. We like to learn about our staff and our coaches. So before we talk volleyball too much, we just want to find out a little bit more about you. So your time outside of San Marcos High School and what your journey was to come to be a Rattler.
Yeah, before this job, I was actually working in tech recruiting, so like a very different job than coaching volleyball. And then before that, I've coached club for a long time. I coached at St. Edward's University, which is a small D2 school in Austin. And then I've had a couple stints at middle schools, but I wasn't really coaching full time. And then Walsh shot me a text like 2.5 years ago. We have some mutual friends, and then told me about San Marcos. I made the drive down, and here I am.
And here we are. We're glad to have you. So what have been some of your initial impressions about the town, the high school, the culture, and just what you've seen as a part of Rattler Nation so far?
Yeah, so this is, San Marcos is probably one of the smaller towns I've lived in, but I think what's really cool is that, Walsh said this originally when I first took the job or was interviewing, that the community was really great, everybody kind of backs you. And I think a lot of people say that, but I was like, we'll see. But it's really cool, dance, cheer, band, everybody's very supportive. And we try as a volleyball program to make it out to other things as well. Mm-hmm. But it's really neat to have one high school that's a 6A big high school from an entire city. So they all feed into the same place. They're all Rattlers. So it's been cool, and the words he said actually just ended up being true. So
he was telling the truth. Good job, Coach.
And I've never seen just to kind of champion that. I've been a volleyball dad for a while. Maggie had a sister, and the gyms were never. I've never been to a volleyball game where the gym is rocking like we get it going. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm not lying either. When I tell the folks the Snake Pit's the place to be on Tuesdays and Friday nights, you got to come out and check them out. Well, Coach, so likewise then, so you get here, you have a volleyball team to evaluate, right? And so what were some things that you saw early on? What were some of those early goals that you knew you had to get in place right away to get the team headed in the way that you wanted to go, and how did they get there?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just changing the culture of the mindset of the kids. We had, obviously, his daughter moved in, so that was a big piece. But I've told Maggie this like multiple times to her face, so I'll say it here as well. But I wasn't like that impressed when I first saw her. I was like, oh gosh, we're gonna have a rough time. But she works really hard. The girls, the seniors from last year, worked really, really hard. They all bought in, and it was really cool to coach that group. I think it's like every day I came to practice and it was exciting to be there. We weren't always great, but it made the job fun, and it's been cool to see that success from the end of last year carry over into this season.
And so as the season began, you got off to that impressive 24-5 record. It really raised expectations for the program, for the team moving into the district season. So what was that early run like for you and then for the team, and what were some of the good and bad of that rising expectation level with that record and that performance early on?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it didn't really affect me at all. I didn't really think about it, but I knew that the girls, I think they've stayed really humble throughout all of it, but it's constant reminders of, this record doesn't mean anything. It matters how you finish at the end of season. So last year we were like 500. We lost as many games as we won, and I don't think anyone thought we would, beat Vandergrift last year. So I just want to make sure that they're peaking at the right time. This is also new for me. Last year we played 20 games, and this year we've played 40 already. Just so keeping them motivated for the entire season has been the challenge, but I think they're really focused, and the last 2 weeks have been really good, I think, from a mindset, so we'll see. But it's fun.
All right. And so that brings us to now, of course, just 3 games remaining in the district season. We mentioned earlier, tied for that 4th spot, 1 game back of 3rd. What becomes the primary focus now for the team? Obviously, win the next game, but what are some other big picture pieces that you've got to either make sure the girls are focused on or make sure you and your staff are focused on as we wrap up this final week and a half?
Yeah, we made a couple of changes with our lineup that we're trying the last 2 weeks. I think it'll be what's best for the end of season to really push the teams at playoffs. So we have 3 games essentially to work out the kinks and see if that's really where we're going to go with. So it's getting the girls to buy in of a change mid-season, and I think they are. I think we can do really cool things with the new lineup that we're trying, but we just have to really maximize what we can do in the next 3 games so that we're ready and we're not trying to figure stuff out in playoffs, because obviously it's like win or lose and go home. So.
Right. And so I would imagine that puts a real impetus on practice minutes, meaning more than ever. Am I right?
Yeah, I think that, and then just we're really minimizing their jumps too. So we have our team, if you've watched, is very outside heavy. So we set our outsides a lot. So we just have to make sure that we're not making them jump too much. So finding ways to get reps without killing their legs, because volleyball players jump a ton. So,
right. Yeah. Well, talk to us about your support staff. You've got Coach Kennedy, Coach Winrow, Coach Villegas. Some were there when you came, some weren't. You're kind of building a staff. Talk to us about the support staff that you've had and what kind of valuable they've been.
Oh gosh, they're amazing. Yeah. So they keep me sane in a lot of ways. So there's a lot of stuff that Coach Villegas, Don will knock on my door and say hey, have you forgotten about this? Or Coach Winrow will do things, or Coach Kennedy can take over practice. So I think without them, I have gone crazy, like any coach does during their season. But without them, I think it would have been worse. So they're awesome, and the girls really respect them, and I think that's really cool too. That we all have a good time, and the 4 of us really get along. So that pays dividends for sure.
So hypothetically, if a good chunk of your team were here right in front of you right now, hypothetically, what would you say to them? What do you want them thinking about? Again, this is just a hypothetical situation live here at Hays County Barbecue every Monday night at 6.
Well, it's kind of like a cheesy hashtag that I've done all season, but just stay hungry. So just to make sure that we're making the most of every moment we have in practice, we're making the most of watching film, and then just really utilizing the opportunities we have, because we know that Vandergrift has us circled. So after last year, likely we'll play them in playoffs if we make it, when we make it. So we have to make sure that we're hungry as they are, and hungrier than last year. So I think they are, though. really focus and practice this last week, so it'll be good.
All right. Well, Coach, thanks for joining us here on Rattler Up. We appreciate it. We know you're headed off to the choir concert. I'll be there behind you. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Hayes County Barbecue, give it up for our head volleyball coach, Coach Jared Teo. All right, we'll talk a little bit later on about some opportunities you at home can have to catch this volleyball team in this final district stretch. But we're going to get our attention back to the gridiron as the Rattlers have a special Thursday start game for this week's game as they head to Del Valle to take on the Cardinals. So a Thursday night start time. That'll be at Veterans Stadium, Thursday night at 7:30 p.m. Del Valle, the home of Formula One racing. So they got to get us bumped because they're out of school on Friday. They get a Formula One race off for a Friday night. Not a bad way to get a Friday off, Coach.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. So we're gonna play a special Thursday night game against Del Valle. Del Valle's 1-6 on the season. They're 1-3 in district play. And as we mentioned, that game will be played on a special Thursday night. So, Coach, you had to know this was coming. We've talked a lot about what that Saturday night meant before and after. So we prefer Friday night lights, but we know these things exist. What's a Thursday night do for you, good and bad, in preparation?
Actually, the opposite. I know when we were talking about that Saturday, I was coming from the heart how much I did not like it. But Thursday nights, I don't mind every now and then. The only thing I dislike, it's usually a smaller crowd because school's the next day and all that good stuff. But I do like a short week every now and then. I think that's good for the kids because you can get in that, that monotonous of, 3 practices, in a full week. So our kids know our system now. They're intelligent. And really, I think I was famous for, I never had an indoor. And if there was rain coming, I'd cancel practice like that just so we could have 2 practices and get the kids off their feet. And so I don't mind Thursday. And on the flip side, Bowie's going to be a big game, and we got some more time for prep. For coaches, we got Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to prep before we see the kiddos. So I don't mind it at all.
Okay. Well, for Del Valle specifically, you mentioned in the post-game interview Friday night, you mentioned earlier, Del Valle runs that similar 3-4 front like what you just prepped for against Austin High. So what else are you looking specifically about Del Valle for? What are we looking at as the Cardinals take the field?
Yeah, they present issues at the skill position. They got several Division I players. They got a kid that's been offered. They got a receiver that's been offered up by all the Big 12 and all the Pac-12. And they got another kid that I think might be better. And then they got a linebacker that's committed to Temple. So they got a lot of talent in the skill spots. So you just got to make sure they don't big play. You got to keep everything in front of you, make them be patient. And I think if we can, like I said, we played great defense the other night, and I don't see us, backing down much of it.
Okay. And we talked a little bit earlier, but kind of give us that overall update on just the health of the team headed into this game.
Yeah, I think we're good. I mean, I don't think we sustained well. Henry got knocked a little silly during the game, but it was mild. He's in concussion protocol, and I expect him to be ready by Thursday. The only one we got left out is Kanui, right? Is he the last one? Kanui's the last one, so he may be on this week, maybe not on this week, but he'll definitely be on the following week.
Definitely on for Bowie then the following week. All right. Well, again, Thursday night game, you heard Coach, one of the drawbacks is not as many people in attendance, so let's make that different, Rattler Nation. Let's be there Thursday night in Del Valle at their place, Thursday night at 7:30 as we take on the Cardinals. Well, Coach, that's going to do it for this week's Rattler Up. Hayes County Barbecue. Everybody have a good time again on a Monday night? All right. All right. So you got to be here with us each week, Monday nights at 6 o'clock. You're here to eat the barbecue, watch the show, watch Monday Night Football, have a good time with everybody. It's the fellowship that we want to bring and be a part of Rattler Nation. Now, before we go, we want to remind people again of all the opportunities to catch the Rattlers in action this week. On Tuesday, you can make a quick drive to Austin as the volleyball team takes on Lake Travis. So go up there and support the girls up there. Also on Tuesday night, you can stay in town if you need to, take in some junior high football at Goodnight and Miller campuses. On Thursday night, as we said, at Del Valle High School, just a 30-minute drive up. So the Rattlers take on the Cardinals, and we got to pack the stadium for that right there. And that leaves Friday night open. Friday night, volleyball in the Snake Pit, taking on Del Valle at 6:30. You've heard me talking about it all season. You just got confirmation I wasn't lying. It's a great place to be in the Snake Pit for volleyball games. So you got to come out Friday night and support the girls as they take on Del Valle. It is senior night. It's Friday night, so you got to be there for that special piece of Friday night in the Snake Pit. So, Coach, for the live crowd here at Hayes County Barbecue, the show ends. For our viewers at home on VYPE, remember you can watch this on the VYPE YouTube stream anytime, all week long. The show stays there archived. For those of us staying, Monday Night Football hits the screens. We got the Bills and the Titans. So who have you got for our Monday night game tonight?
Bills are one of the top teams in the league, I think. So.
I don't think there's any reason to believe anything's not going to happen good for them. All right, well, next week on Rattler Up, we'll update you on in-season Rattler athletics. As always, we'll look back at the Del Valle game and preview, of course, when the Rattlers take on Bowie the following week. And you be here live, of course, Monday night at 6. Join us next Monday. Get here, get your brisket, come on back, and join us in the Big Tex Event Center at Hays County Barbecue. Thanks to VYPE and our producer, Josh, for putting the show on for us each week and making it so that folks can check us out at home on the VYPE YouTube. And thanks to our live crowd here at Hays County Barbecue for joining us and being with us every Monday night. You make it fun to talk sports and be a part of the Rattler Nation. All right, we're clapping. Yeah. All right. Thanks to everybody for watching at home, and we'll see you again next week. For Coach Walsh, I'm CJ Odom, and we'll see you next week on Rattler Up.